So 5:30 p.m., I'm calling the Monday, February 22nd meeting of the Ayer Board of Health to order. We are all here and accounted for. Any public input other than recycling? Any other public input? Speak now.
No?
I'm going to take that as a no. So no public input, at least not that we can hear. So without further ado then, Laurie Sabal has asked to come before the board, and she has Irene Congdon with her from, you are still with Mass DEP, correct, Irene? Okay. And this is to talk about our existing trash hauler regulations and a request to broaden them to include some mandatory recycling. So with that, I will let the ladies take away the presentation.
Irene is going to make a brief presentation with PowerPoint, and hopefully you had a chance to see the actual slides. I realize that you may not have studied them in the greatest detail, but it's okay. You know, we know this is the first time that we're seeing you, and that there may be questions. We may certainly not get everything done tonight. This is the first meeting. So Irene, take it away.
Yeah, so if I can share my screen, so I don't know if I have to get permission for that. So let me see if I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see it.
Got it.
Let's go up here to.
And remind us how much time we have.
I would say we don't have an awful lot else on the agenda. So if we can keep it around 20-25 minutes, that would be great. But
okay,
if we run over, we'll assess it then.
Okay, and hopefully I don't go in and out here.
Okay, and just to set the stage, I should mention that we do have a Board of Health regulation for those who may be listening at home. In May 2015, the Board of Health first adopted solid waste hauler regulations. So those are in existence. We do permit we issue permits to solid waste haulers that work in the town of Ayer. And that regulation is available, current regulations available on the Board of Health website if anyone wants to see. So what we're going to be talking about here tonight would be potential modifications to the existing regulation. So that's just by way of background. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm Irene Congdon. I'm the Regional Recycling Coordinator for Central Massachusetts, part of Mass DEP. And private hauler regulations, this is a way that the Board of Health has control over the different vehicles that are being picked up. So you have a wonderful transfer station. We've worked very hard on that. The recycling committee has been very active. And we had in Ayer, I'd say now about 4 years ago, we actually met with all the haulers. And most of the haulers actually, all of them offered recycling. It's this next group that's the multifamily, the small businesses, the haulers that can just come in quick, that don't offer. So, or we don't know about.
Okay.
Skipped ahead a little here. So, because my husband's computer does not have a mouse, so I always have to get used to this. So we're talking about the waistbands and the grant opportunities, best practice documents that we put together, ideas for Ayer. And if you have any questions, you can email me. I know Tessa David, like I said, I'm all the central region. I live close though, I'm in Townsend. And I normally be there. And I know Tessa David, you are part of Mass Toss. And Tessa is also planning. It's just, we kind of did a swap. She lives only like a block away from Ayer in Groton. And she came to Townsend because Townsend's part of her thing. And then I'm doing a Zoom call with you in Ayer. So note that Tess is always there for you as well. And Lori is definitely with the recycling committee, your go to, and Mark at the DPW is also very supportive.
Yes.
Making waste reduction a priority. We have the solid waste management goals through, it's not goals, this is the law, the 310 C10 CMRC 19 is the laws about reducing waste, and this is the one that gives the authority to the Board of Health for permitting and procedure and operating. And unless things change, your charter for the town of Ayer has given the Board of Health authority, which you already are using because you already used that for your permit. Waste ban items. A lot of people don't realize how much we've already have banned. And there's actually a discussion of adding a couple more this year. Recycled paper, cardboard, paperboard products, glass containers, metal beverage and food containers, plastic bottles, jars, jugs, and tub lids. That's really the number ones and twos is pretty much falls into that category that are banned. But we have expanded that at the transfer station a little more. Leaves and yard waste, car batteries, white goods, which they're no longer white. They're more, your appliances are all different colors now.
Yeah,
Black
right.
and silver, and they're no longer
Yeah.
white. Whole tires, the television and computer screens, metal, asphalt, brick, concrete, and wood. Commercial organics, this was a ton of food waste a week, and it is now in discussion. There'll be a half a ton. So that's what we're moving towards. And we're going to be adding textiles and mattresses. So that those have already been, we had a public hearing on that, and that just ended in December for those 3 products to be added. So likely, because of COVID, of course, everything is on slow motion, going slower. Probably within the year of, by January of 2022, then they'll be officially added.
Okay.
What's still in our trash? We have had those waistbands, believe it or not, some of them since 1990, but we still have stuff in our trash. And the biggest one, and this is from 2019 data, so right before COVID hit, 28% is compostable, and 21% is still paper. Plastics are in there, construction and demolition, metal, hazardous waste. This is for the waste to energy facilities. We do a waste characterization for them. So this is not particular errors. We could at some point do an audit just for you guys, because I know you guys do composting now. So that's a new thing at the transfer station. And more residents have access to home composting pickup. And it actually has now expanded even more because Groton signed a contract with one of the vendors so that he has a home base in Groton, so just one town over. So that's now it's not going as far. Some of them had a place in Gardner, or they had a place in Haverhill, and that's a little more of a distance. But now that we got a composting location for organics in Groton, that makes the price of transportation cheaper. So you guys are doing good. And you also have the household hazardous waste, but there's still people that fall off of that. So I'd say most of the residents are doing great, but then you have multifamilies and people that don't have vehicles, because you have the wonderful train there, that you do have a lot of people that don't have vehicles that then sometimes can't make it to these places. They can't. And then they don't have access. It's about a partnership. It's between the municipality, the customers, and the hauler, and to have real communication. And on the state level, we support this. And so in some cases, we put another one on there about grants, and but it is a shared responsibility. And here's the grants and assistance that we give you grant money. So Ayer has been getting, I should have had that number. I know I have it later in the presentation, but you guys have been doing good because of being part of Devon's HHW and now expanding. But you can get more by just approving this, and I'll talk about that in this document. But it helps, and you can get more money.
Okay.
So we have a recycling dividend program. That's our grant. And you have been getting money for that. There was the last map showed you the different communities getting points. And I want to say you were at 16 points or something this past year. And by just adopting the comprehensive hauler regulations, you get 2 points. And like we said, most of it you kind of have, but you're just missing a couple tweaks. A municipality that adopts a bylaw or an ordinance or a regulation that requires all private haulers collecting solid waste to provide a bundled service for collection of trash and solid waste and recyclables for each customer. And so that's the big thing, and I'll go in a little more detail of that. In addition, the municipality must inform all generators, being commercial and residential, at least annual of that recycling is mandatory. So what some people do is you have it on your website, you put it on a mailer that goes out, put it in the paper, things like that. We have the waistband laws, like I said, since 1990. And because we're a commonwealth, not a state, it always comes down to local government. So even though we have the regulation in place of the waistband laws, we only enforce that at the landfills, the regional transfer stations, and the waste energy facilities. It is the Board of Health's responsibility to put that enforcement into everybody else's practice. So it's said we're in 2020 and we still have some people that are throwing out cardboard. Still throwing out things that we've had in place since 1990. So the 3 components of the comprehensive hauler regulations: for residential customers, a bundled service. So when you get one rate. And really, I'd say that when we did this 4 years ago and met with all the haulers that provided curbside service, they all said they did that. And they're like, we do that. You get 2 carts. We don't tell people 1 cart, you're getting 2 carts. And if you're getting picked up, we do that because they're following waistband laws. For commercial customers, the hauler must provide bundled service, trash and solid waste recycling collection, unless the customer can provide proof that they are separating it with another service. So that would be like a bigger company like the supermarket or Coca-Cola, Pepsi, that they're like, hey, I bail my own cardboard, it's going someplace else. But in most cases, Dunkin' Donuts, things, they have to have another bin for cardboard. They have to say that they're having some type of service, not just throwing everything in one. And we kind of lump in multifamily units, anything over 3, so 4-family unit, we consider commercial. And so you have a commercial household. Even we've had this discussion about Ayer's public housing, and you just have a dumpster. And it's just like, why do they get out of the rules of not following the waistband laws? And on a state things, people contact me and I'm like, I'm tied. I can only do it if our inspector visits their site. And at that particular time that they get unloaded, and it goes to the site, it's very hard to prove that. So, and then the third is mandatory recycling. All generators follow the waistband laws, ensuring that the waistband regulations are uniformly adhered to, and it's a level playing field. And that's where the private haulers actually really like that, is that the town is taking some of the putting in there, because a customer calls them and says, hey, I want service. They're like, oh, you have to follow these rules. I have to do this. And they're like, okay. But if it's not supported by the Board of Health, then one hauler goes, hey, I'm a new business. You can go to the transfer station. Well, a person in a multifamily unit, the likelihood of them getting a sticker and going to the recycling center is very, 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 very small. They need to, we always say parallel access. Wherever you take your trash, you need to have a basic recycling availability.
All right, gotcha.
Joint enforcement is fair rules. Access, that's what I was just talking about, parallel access. And to comply with the state laws and consistency across municipalities. That's why we're trying to find we have the regulations already set up, and that it's working together, not only for this, but the goals of the solid waste plan. Our goal is 30% waste reduction. We go over it every 10 years. And because what I showed you before of the 2019, our focus has always been paper, paper, paper. And now it's organics because 29%, and you guys are doing that. But that's our way of, and reuse.
Yeah.
We're talking a lot about reuse. But we have these two master plan things of the Master Solid Waste Plan and the Global Warming Solution Acts, which are pushing us to keep on doing better, you know, and that's what we're trying to do.
Okay.
The municipality enforces curbside recycling by verifying the compliance of recycling related, that you have mandatory recycling, that the quality of recyclable means no contamination. We want to make sure that it's not contaminated, like, oh, okay, we'll just give you one bin, throw it all in, you know. And I sometimes hear that we do have one hauler that kind of separates it, but I still don't think it works, especially in Harvey kind of says if in an office building that is everybody's in office, that hey, there's only one bag of real trash that's from the bathroom, and then it's all recyclables, keep them loose, and then put the black bag from the thing on there.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of works more in a city kind of thing. I think everybody else should be able to have two bins, or they have the rolling carts that you can put your recyclables in that way. Or if it's really that, they just have a small cart for the trash on the side, just to keep things separate, because our places are mixed now. And as we say, you don't have the rules. I told him no paws on the couch, but he found the loophole. You know,
love that picture.
all the paws are on the side. It's just, we can tell them, and like the haulers now are doing it for 1 to 3 family households, but wait 5 years, we'll have new people in the direction working with them. Hey, there's no rules in air, or they're not as strict, so they kind of go through, oh, we're doing it, but we're just doing it for the 4 families, you know.
I gotcha.
So what we heard is we had 3 years ago, when we put this together, we had a consulting firm help us with this, and then we met up with all the haulers, we met up with all the municipal people, and said, what did we hear? And we heard that Board of Health make it mandatory for all. If by missing that kind of thing, they're like, oh, we'll put it on the side. No, it has to be really close, that they know it, and the hauler sees it, and then the resident sees it. It helps enforce it. Haulers offer recycling as part of a bundled service. They can have it line itemed, but it has to be on the same paper. You know, they can say trash costs this way. Recycling is not free. It does cost to have a truck come through, and but you got to see it. But you can't just say, I'm just going to throw it all out, you know? You could make, and it's about education and help. And what the town of Harvard did, so Harvard already has this comprehensive hauler regulation. And Amanda, it's Andrea, she does the enforcement, and she puts out the permit, and then she asks them, really, are you doing this? And then because it was the beginning, we kind of said businesses, small businesses, I know it's a real hard time right now, we're going to give you a year, you know, a year to plan. Things are crazy here, but this is a good time. It's quiet. Figure out, you know, there's organics coming, you know, you could do organics too, and then you can work on getting cheaper rates. You know, this is a good time for signage and things. Things are quiet to get your plan in. And you could give as a board, hey, this is a small business, a law firm or something like that, or an accountant office. You like, I take everything home. Okay, that's fine. Or I'm a resident in town, I take it over to the recycling center. Or I only have like my 5 bottles and, you know, my cans that I drink and from my office, we've gone, and nobody's eating in town. I bring it over to Devon's. And so you could make leeways case by case, but we got to make, you know, the bundled pricing stick, unless it's like a case by case scenario for businesses that says something else.
Yeah.
What we developed like I said, with the consultant, and it's on DEP's website, is generic language template. We did
Yep.
optional languages to add in there to make it a little more stronger. We added the permit application, what the application looks like. The annual reporting form that would come from the hauler, like every year they would say, hey, this is how many households we have, this is how many businesses, this is where the trash is going. I think you already asked for that, because a while ago
Yeah.
we had people, I need to know where you're taking the trash here from Ayer.
Yeah.
An exempt form, it could be to say, hey, we're a big business. I got metal going this way. I got a aluminum going this way. I have my cardboard going this way. Of course, it's all separate. Okay. I know that you're doing it. You're doing a lot, And then the facts sheet, it's good for everybody in the haulers and the residents and the businesses to see what the waste ban laws are. Key elements, defining who the customers are, all generators, bundle pricing, the rate, that it reflects both services, and can be separated, and teeth, So optional language, you could add in the food hauler because we already know that they're in town. This might be the time to say, hey, I do want to add the food hauler in there. Labeling of the vehicle. So these are some of the optional languages you might want to include that we really did not add, but we could do them in there. Okay. The other thing I'd put on there, we were having discussions with the town of Ayer and Devens. Townsend has this language. Lunenburg is in this process. We were planning to apply for a grant before COVID hit. It was actually my last meeting before I could not meet in public with people, was with the Lunenburg Board of Health exactly on this. And it was, if we added just to say mandatory recycling, like for the multifamilies, and for condos, you got to be recycling. It has to be mandatory recycling. We need you to do it. And so to just include that in there of the language for that there's a fine, if you're not following this, there's a fine. We've had these in place since 1990. It's not fair for those households not to have basic recycling. Okay. I'm over here and it's not. Okay, come on. I can't get back into my corner. Here we go. Okay, sample forms.
Okay, that's the optional. Okay, on the side.
Yeah, this is the sample forms. Yep. Okay. That is all on DEP site. So next step for Ayer, you can utilize the best practice document. Is already right there for you. Lori and I did send you a sample. Like I think the one thing that we did not include, I think, was talking about food organics, and I don't know if the language in there for fining for mandatory got in there. But having the Board of Health review the document, then you'd have a public hearing, get the word out to haulers. And just by doing that, you get 2 points. But if you do the checking for compliance, it's pretty much just calling and saying, hey, you fill out your application every year. And then we do like a dry call. Hey, I'm from this business or whatever. What's your service? Just to test them out. And by doing that, we get $1,700 a year for the town of Ayer. And you have the uniform access. And I know Lori and the committee has said if you needed any help in different ways, that they were very supportive.
Okay.
And I think that is it. So,
okay.
Stay there. Or any questions?
Yeah, I have a question about, so what you're really recommending here is, and I kind of recall this from when we did the original regs, that you were already required, according to the CMR, that these certain goods must be recycled. So by adding those to a regulation, we're not imposing any additional requirement above and beyond what the state already has. Is that correct?
Right. It's just, it's adding, the state can't come in, because we're a commonwealth, cannot come into the condo association or the housing authority and say, hey, you need to be doing this. We are reactive after they are seen not following the waistband laws, and we catch them at the site when we do, but it's very hard to do it that way. So being
Yeah.
proactive is the regulation saying, we have these regulations, please follow them. And
Okay.
they're good for your residents and good for everybody if, you have access to recycling, especially since everybody's now getting Amazon deliveries. Everybody needs to have access for cardboard.
Yeah.
It's really sad when you have it at the transfer station, you have it at the single family households, but the condos and the multifamily units over 4 units just have a dumpster.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it.
One other thing I'd like to mention real quick along the lines of the question that you just asked, Pam, is that the current bylaws for trash haulers in Ayer are a little wiggly on requiring on imposing mandatory recycling. And I know you were on the Board of Health when I met with the board a couple of years ago, but I don't think that either Steve or Trish were. So there's that aspect too. One of the sections says that the haulers provide customers with the option of recycling, and another section points to the fact that residents are in order to follow the waistbands, residents should be required to recycle. So there is a lack of consistency in the current regulation that I think that the draft that we sent you, which still has a lot to be desired. I was just looking at it today and I realized there were at least a couple of errors, and there are probably more, would very much strengthen the requirements.
Yeah, and I do recall the discussions about this from when we first created the regulation. And I know what you're saying, because the requirement that starts off with a requirement that's worded a little wiggly.
Yeah.
It says, in order to encourage recycling and to allow compliance with the State of Mass Department of Environmental Protection, solid waste bans, all solid waste hauler permittees serving residential, municipal, and commercial industrial customers in the town of Ayer shall provide customers with the option of recycling.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe I'm sorry, I probably should know this, but Heather, that is part of the application, correct? Right now, our existing application, do they have to certify that they're providing?
You think that's in the language when they apply, Pam?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it is. So is the problem the wording of our existing, outside of, food waste and any of the newer stuff? I think it does say that, you're still required to follow the state law or regulations for what you have to recycle. Although I have to give it a
we would want to
closer
make
read.
sure of that. And another aspect is the enforcement. Do we know who is doing that now? Or is that kind of an open question?
Yeah, well,
How does that work?
right now we're pretty much kept, busy and running
Oh, of course.
with, COVID inspections and
Mhm.
all of the inspections that go along with that. So Neshoba does that for us, and I know that that's taking up a lot of their time right now. How in the other towns that have done this, like you mentioned, Harvard, how are they doing the enforcement? Do they have? Is it a board of health?
So right now, the Board of Health secretary, when the applications come through, she checks and she talks with them directly. So that happens once a year. And then she does like a little spot checking, like while she's driving around. Then she goes and goes, oh, look at that. There's only one
Mhm.
container. And then she writes them a letter and she goes, note that we have a town thing. We've had this now for a while. You have a year to get yourself together. If you need any help, call us, call your hauler. And so it's
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
that kind of thing. And I mean, she's working and she's understanding. And one of the things that, like I said, we talked about is that we were talking about doing a regional group to help with, because we're part of Mass Toss. This is the
Yep,
Mass Toss group. And
yep,
so to kind of add in a new thing, Tessa kind of works directly with the education and the contracts. But we really haven't gotten into the enforcement of haulers, to do that. And we were kind of thinking, well, maybe if we applied for the grant, then we could do that, or we could do it on our own if everybody
that,
had uniform language and could say to these multifamilies, hey, it's time. And they're like, well, I
yeah,
just need a little hand holding, I need some signage, I need this, I need, and each
yeah,
town gets some
yeah,
recycling RDP money that maybe they just need bags, canvas reusable bags that just has, this is what you do for recycling, in different
mhm.
languages, and to be able to help.
Yeah, I mean, enforcement for us right now is very similar. It's kind of either complaints that some truck is going through town and has trash blowing out of the truck, or complaints from residents that that they're, and I don't think we've gotten one of these for a long time. This was way in the beginning when we set up the regs, but there would occasionally be a call from a resident that, hey, I see you have this regulation, but it doesn't sound like my trash hauler, wants to follow this. I think we've pretty much worked all of that stuff out right now. So the only thing that we're not doing that it would be, like if you see that there's only one bin to do
Right.
anything about it. Then is anybody actually looking in the trash cans, and is it, who are most people enforcing against, the hauler or the resident?
All right, so that could be both. Right now, the town typically has the hauler regulations, and so that's against the hauler. And Uxbridge was very, like Harvard, very using their this as a tool because, to get to the multifamilies to really say, hey, you need to do this. So she gave a letter to all of them to say this is coming. Then she gave a letter to say it is passed. You have questions, come to me. And then she'd go to a presentation and somebody goes, oh, I live in this, this condo group. And they said, we don't have any bin. And she goes, huh, that's nice to know. But,
Yeah, yeah,
Uxbridge has a lot more multifamily than the town of Ayer does. So,
yeah,
but that was just her way of that type of enforcement. She wasn't really looking for it, it would just be like,
yeah,
send out
yeah.
a letter once a year, in the beginning of the program, before the program, when the program started, and then yearly. And then she'd just give another letter when somebody said something.
Okay, all right, got you.
Pam, how do we know which haulers are servicing the multifamily and the condos? When they apply, we know where they're going, what addresses.
I'm going to stop my screen, so hopefully, because you
Okay.
guys are stopping here.
Okay.
I was just wondering when you said how we can enforce it and how people come into compliance with it. If we knew exactly who, I mean, which haulers were picking up at multifamilies or condos, and if they had more than one dumpster, if they had a recycling dumpster, that
Yeah.
would make it a little bit easier to know who's doing what. But do we have that kind of a list?
Does Heather keep that kind of
They should all be
information?
labeled. You say bins be labeled.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
the
have
bin
to
should
get
be
a
labeled.
customer list with every application, so it would stay on there if it was going to a multifamily house. It wouldn't
Okay.
be that hard to figure that out.
Okay, all right.
Good.
Okay.
Heather, do you also require annual reports of the haulers?
Yeah, we usually get a report and in the customer list. Unfortunately, Board of Health isn't my only department. So on 40 hours, I have to handle 3. So I give as much time as I can to these things, but I don't necessarily triple check 100% all the items that we get, because it's the same haulers that we've gotten every year. There hasn't been any new ones.
But aren't they required to?
They send a
tell
customer list
you-
and a report, yes.
No, I'm not just talking about the customer list. I'm asking, aren't they required to give you some kind of annual report as far as how much
Yes.
tonnage they collect?
Yeah, actually, they don't send it to us because we
No, I
didn't
don't get that.
want to be the middleman. We said that they have to report it to DPW. And then back when we put this regulation in place, I had just a discussion with Mark Wetzel of let us know who you're not getting them from, because it's our regulation that makes that a requirement. And I don't think we've had anybody that I don't recall him contacting us about anybody who hasn't been sending in the reports.
Yeah, I never heard anything.
Yeah. Because what I'm wondering really is how much, and I do appreciate you sending the, kind of the draft of what a standardized regulation would look like. What I'm wondering though is what are the specific areas for our regulation rather than reissuing a whole regulation? Are there specific areas in our reg that are not doing what they need to do for recycling?
Well, I think that's the heart of the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I realize we're also getting close to the time that you need to move on. I think we've exceeded that time, in fact. But so very briefly, I'll just point out the 2 sections that are contradictory to each other, and they're section 4.4 and
Yep.
section 6.1 bullet 7.
Okay.
I can definitely go over the current, I can do a comparison of the current bylaw versus the draft with the more standardized language and give you an additional response to the question you're asking. But the specific answer is what I just mentioned.
Okay. I think that would help us. I mean, it's an interesting point because it's already a state requirement that these things be recycled. So in that respect, we're not really making anyone do or requiring anyone to do anything that the state doesn't already require. It's the enforcement that worries me, and how we're going to find, the time and the place and how we would actually implement the enforcement. So I think what might make sense at this point is you've done a really good presentation for us. You gave us a lot of really good information. I'd like to take a look at our regulation again in light of the discussion we had here tonight. And Laurie, if you're willing to also do that, and in particular the sections that we would maybe need to modify, then I think we'll have we can narrow down the project a little bit.
Yeah.
Irene, does that make sense to you as sort of the next step? Okay. When do you want me to report back to you, Pam?
I would say probably what do you folks think? Next meeting or 4 weeks from now?
How long do you think it'll take to, are you working, are you and Lori working or communicating on this together? Or is this something that we're all gonna look at and then come back and talk about? So do you think it would be, a week would be reasonable? I mean, the next meeting would be reasonable, or push it out?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I think we all should kind of take a look at the existing regulation, what's been presented here. We're running short on time, but I was okay with that because you were giving us good information.
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe at least table the discussion, take the suggestion under advisement. We're not saying yes, we're not saying no. That will give us some additional time to figure out what specifically are the changes, and would give us a little while to think about what are all the other questions that we haven't thought of yet. Enforcement is still a big one for me, is
Yep.
making sure that we have the
agree.
resources
Yeah.
Pam, this
for
is
that.
Steve.
Yep. Yes.
Do the current haulers in Ayer, are they required to sign that they provide recycling? So if you have not multifamily, but residential, and I know there's quite a few haulers in Ayer, are they required when they take a permit in the town of Ayer that they do provide recycling?
That's what I'm not sure of, whether it says anything on the application or not, because the regulation definitely says that they have to offer it.
Right. Is the application public? Is that on our website or somewhere else that we could take a look at?
I don't know if it is. I don't have, fortunately, I'm at home, so I don't have the application in front of me. But when I do send out the applications for renewal, I always send a copy of the trash hauler regulations as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so it's
So
not
we
on
don't,
the application.
we don't know if the haulers in Ayer all provide that service then right now. Is that correct?
Well, I think we theoretically do, because that's one of the conditions of getting the permit. Whether there's actually a checkbox or something that they have to sign on the permit application to say that they do, that I'm not sure of.
That's where I'd be more hesitant.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are the haulers responsible to notify their customers that they have to recycle?
Yes. That is in
all-
the regulation. They have to tell their customers that you must recycle. They have to provide information on what is and isn't recyclable.
I don't know that they have to inform their customers that they have to recycle.
I thought it did, but those are some of the little technicalities that, yeah, we might not find until we really go through this
Until we
with
look
a,
at that.
I agree.
yeah.
Okay. Well,
So-
I'm happy to come back in a month. I don't think that I would be ready to come back in to your next meeting.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And that's
Yeah.
actually fine, because that will give us too some time to
Yep.
think
Pam,
about it, make sure we've got all our questions.
One other question, Pam. From the experience the DEP has, have they run any cost estimates, what the cost is of implementing whatever we change?
I do not think so. We have about 55 communities that have done the comprehensive hauler regulation, but then there are countless others that, like yourself, like Groton, that is so close that they have it all, maybe except one little, they just haven't updated one line. So they're not considered into that 55. But not that I know of doing a cost analysis, because each community is so different and how it is done. So some communities like the city of Leominster and Fitchburg, they already service up to 8 units of communities. And then you have some small businesses that get into the town programs. So, or they have access, like in Townsend, we allow the businesses to anybody to use the transfer station for free. So
Oh,
that gives them another access. So it's very hard to say what the extra cost is, but then it gets, the hauler should be providing a comprehensive service. Our goal is to get a 30% waste reduction. And if you always have a dumpster, then you throw everything in it, and it brings,
yeah.
it kind of says, fill me. You know, if I can't fill
Yeah,
it, then
yeah, I
I have
understand.
another business that can, or somebody driving by can put something in it.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Yeah, it does say here that the company has to provide customers with a list of acceptable solid waste types and recyclable materials, and then also a list or description of the proper packaging or bundling for
I
waste.
really thought, though, I know you said from the beginning it said everybody, but I thought when I read that your document, it really was geared to single family households.
That's what I want to take another look at. Is
So I think
with
your
our
heading
intent
said
to
everybody, but
capture
I think
everyone.
later it then says
Yeah, that
single
could
family
be.
households.
That could be. This was our first shot
Mhm.
at it, so there could very well be some, things in it that are inconsistent from what it says at one place versus maybe it gets a little softer towards the end. So I want to check through for those kind of things too.
So we'll reconvene with Lori at,
Yeah. So that would be the meeting on
The 22nd.
Yeah, March 22nd. Oh yeah, February and March. They're exactly alike. Yep, March 22nd. So in the meantime, what I can do is kind of collect any questions that I think of. Other board members, you're welcome to either send those questions to Laurie and Irene directly. You can send them to me, and I'll, kind of funnel them through whatever is easier for you. But I'm thinking the more questions we can get to you ahead of our next meeting, you'll be able to have better information for us.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Good. Anything else?
yes, no.
Okay.
Anybody? Trish,
I'm
Steve?
just going to email you my I know you have my email someplace else, but just so I'm putting it in the chat.
Okay.
So you have it.
All right.
Well,
Perfect.
thanks very much for your time.
Yes, thank
Irene,
you.
let's talk at some point within a month and figure out our next steps so that we're as prepared as possible as we were today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for the
No, I thank you. You
presentation.
gave us some good information.
Great.
This is
You're
very well
welcome.
done.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Irene.
guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Lori.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay.
Food for thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And were you on the board, Trish, when we did these
I
regulations the first time?
I
can't
thought
remember.
I thought I was, and Mary, I remember going over, was it 2015?
I kind of thought you were.
I thought I was, maybe.
Yeah,
I've lost time, I lost
yeah.
all
yeah.
sense of time.
I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. Because I'm not entirely sure myself if there are areas where, maybe we don't quite meet the state. I feel like we've got the majority of it in the existing reg, which is why, I thought, well, let's try to narrow this down to what exactly would we have to change.
But I agree. I think the compliance is going to be the hard part.
Yeah.
When Irene was talking about somebody in Harvard being able to drive around, well, it's a different, every town is different.
Yeah, and I think part of it is because we're trying to meet, state guideline or whatever, and they say that we must do certain things, so we must have enforcement. Well, how much enforcement? What kind of enforcement? And so from what she was saying, that, it could be telephone calls to verify. If it's that kind of enforcement and we don't have to do it say every month with every trash hauler, or send Bridget out to sort through people's, trash and recycling bins.
Oh,
That will put Bridget over the edge. We can't do that.
And then, but whose responsibility is that?
Well, that's what I want to find a little bit more from the ladies about what is the level of enforcement that we would have to apply? Can it be a somewhat honor system thing where we ask the haulers themselves to confirm to us that they do this? Or, do we actually have to do active enforcement looking at trash or looking at what are they dropping off at, their transfer station? Is the stuff all mixed together?
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. And we have those, that 4.4 and 6.1
Yeah, I made note of those.
contradictory. Well, I have to go back and look at that copy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm going to do too, is look at our reg and the info they sent us. So Heather, if you could just send us a copy of the application, the current application. I suspect I have one somewhere, but
And
Yeah, I can do that. It's the same application that I had over in Lancaster. Someone must have stole it from that town.
oh, probably because we searched all the surrounding towns. We
and the
didn't want
reg
to reinvent anything.
Yeah, it's everybody does.
and the
Yeah.
regs are on our website.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
So Steve has access. I remember last time, Steve, you weren't getting emails or whatever. I just want to make sure that we're all able to see the same thing, so.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Yeah, you should be able to. If you have any troubles, though, let me or Heather know, because Cindy is, I think, out for a couple weeks. So if it's a computer access thing, then somebody smarter than me is going to have to figure.
Hey, do we know if all the haulers that are in Ayer are all licensed by the town for hauling?
Yeah, we did a pretty good job when we first put the regulation in place of, and I think Trish was there because I seem to recall myself, Trish, and Mary, kind of driving around and going, oh, I saw a dumpster with this name on it. With that name on it. We were looking at trucks going through, and I kind of reflexively still do when I see trash pickup. So I think we're in pretty good shape with that.
I see a lot of trucks recently that, and I'm not looking for them, Pam, but
Yeah.
that, they look like they're coming in, picking up someone's something and then taking off. And a trash hauler and a demolition hauler are not the same thing, right?
Right. Our regulation even breaks out the construction and demolition debris as that can be handled separately.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
and you can't put that stuff in the regular trash, that whole thing. But yeah, if you happen to note either a dumpster or a truck that you see, just send Heather an email and ask her if they're on our list.
Do we have a list of who is licensed?
We have a list of the ones that Heather must have that, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah.
Can you send me just a copy of the list? I'd be curious. Just
Yeah,
in
it should be
noticing.
it should be on the town's website. It didn't change from last year.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, right. Because we did that so that residents will know. Well,
Yeah, the only one that's on it that's different is United Materials something, and that's picking up for different companies. So that truck is licensed, those containers are licensed. They're just operating under different companies, but I do have that. But I can send you a list, Steve, of all the names that are operating as.
I'd be curious. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, we did have a few name changes, right? Where like the name on the truck is not, somebody bought somebody, so the name on the truck is not the name of the permit holder. But I think we kind of worked through most of that. So,
Right.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, everyone. Quick COVID discussion. There's not a heck of a lot really to discuss. I mean, big news, right, was that the Commonwealth, decided that places like Neshoba weren't going to get any more vaccine. I don't know. You don't deserve it, Bridget. I don't know I don't know who you teed off at. So what, other than that, what else is going on in the world of COVID?
So the good news is the numbers are going down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I talked to Tamara this morning, and unfortunately last week Ayer was still red, but I think
Yeah.
that was just some residual cluster cases.
Mhm.
It doesn't have much to do with the prison at all.
Yeah.
As of right now, there's not much going on, and we should see that change this week. So things are
Good.
looking good, and it's definitely, she said things are definitely slowing down, which is good. We're heading in the right direction. So
That's wonderful. Some relief. Yeah.
yeah, especially for them too, because the contact tracing was
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
insane.
I know. I can't even imagine. That sounds awful.
So, I mean,
Oh,
there's still
great.
straggling cases. You know, she did say that a majority of the cases are from carpooling. We're back to hockey, especially
Oh, yeah.
the hockey leagues with older kids.
Yeah.
And then people are starting, it seems, to do some gathering.
Okay. So it's community spread.
Yep.
Again. Okay.
Yep.
I'll be curious to see if anything, now that the kids are back to school, some that traveled.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
they're still saying that they have to really pay attention to the quarantine, and if you traveled with your family, and they're
Yeah.
sending letters home to parents that please be forthcoming where you went, who you
Yeah.
did, what you did, because you're bringing it back in.
Right. I mean, that was the big thing that we've been trying to explain to people too, is with the travel ban, the only states that aren't on it, I believe it's Hawaii. There's a couple more, I forget them, but so I don't want to misspeak. But Hawaii, and there's two other ones that are not around here. So if
Right.
people are traveling, even if it's to New Hampshire for a weekend, you
Ski.
still need to have your
Yeah.
kids quarantined. So we're really trying to get that point across too.
Right.
But you know, again, it's just policing some of this is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, going to Hawaii isn't going to work because then the engine will fall off the wing.
there you
So
go.
yeah, it's
you're
like
muted.
nothing's safe.
Steve, you're muted.
Oh God.
That better?
Yeah.
So
Hey.
the letter that was written to the governor from the 17 towns, has there been a response from that yet?
I
No,
have
to my knowledge, no.
idea. I assumed no because then the announcement came out the next day that certainly community centers, existing community centers like Neshoba weren't going to be getting it. If it's a new center that started up by the state, they could choose to put one here. But from what I've seen, it doesn't look like that's the direction they're going.
So if Neshoba is not getting vaccine anymore, is no vaccine coming into this whole area?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Bridget.
No. So I'm finding anyway that there are spots that do have the vaccine. Lowell General is one of them that has but it's not on the map. It's not on the website. If you go to Lowell General's website, you can register there. I believe there's one in Marlborough as well. So there's these other sites that are available, but they're not actually showing up on the map. Pharmacies are starting to get more vaccines, but in this general area, we're still pretty much the same that we have been.
And I know I took my mom, of all places, the Polish American Club in Gardner. Someone told me about it. I went on the website, bang, I got an appointment within 2 days. We drove up there. It was like a well-oiled machine. They had police escort, and I dropped him off, took him in. It was great. And then
Amazing.
I understood that my husband's uncle, who was in his 90s, goes through Reliant Healthcare in Leominster, and they have the vaccine, and they're
Yes.
giving it to their
Yeah.
patients. So
that one in Gardner is, I think, through Hayward Hospital. Is that?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right, but I know, like you said, Lowell General has it, but now in Leominster, Reliant Healthcare, if you're a
Yep.
patient, they have it. So
The other one is the Veterans Administration. If you're a veteran at all,
Oh,
you're
Yes.
entitled to get your shot from the VA.
yeah,
And they are doing it in Bedford, and they're doing it in Worcester.
yeah. They called for my stepdad to make an appointment, and they said they will call him when they have availability, but we have to get him to Worcester, which right now,
Yeah.
we don't have to worry about it. I got them both done at Gardner. So
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
VA is a little bit of a wait too,
Good.
but
Yeah, I'm sure.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's too bad that they're not all listed on one website so you can go
Yeah.
to one place. I did a little looking around last week, and I must have 7 or 8 bookmarks for, from different sites that have things, but they're not linked. It's only the state sites that you can get through the state, and the rest of them are kind of, you got to find their own website,
And
like the
mass-
Lowell Gen.
Yeah, and the
Right.
mass sites are the only ones that will do the caregiver. We'll give
Mhm.
them the vaccine because I thought by me staying with them and taking them to Gardner, I would get my vaccination, and they said no. And Bridget, you had told me that too, that I just got up there and I saw people, my age and younger, and I'm like, how are they
Yeah.
getting this? They must be giving it to the caregiver, and they said no. So I don't know. It is what it is. Just lucky.
Yeah.
to get it.
So I think there's
Yeah.
there's the people that have 2 health conditions that are on the list. So those individuals are able to get the vaccine now as well, which might be why you see some younger
Yeah.
faces, because that is part of the group. I've
Yeah.
also heard that some businesses, and again, this is just, I haven't been able to follow this up too much yet, but some businesses are securing having pharmacies come in and actually vaccinate the employees at their business. So as I think time goes
idea.
on, there's going to be more options.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes. And then the senior housing and the low income housing, they are also coordinating having pharmacies in different companies come in
Mhm.
and vaccinate those individuals right on site as well.
Okay.
So I mean, there's other things starting to happen, and I think as time goes on, it will get a little bit easier. It's just a matter of working the kinks out.
Right.
Yeah, I think so too.
And that's sort of what we're shifting our focus on right now is, so we're not doing these clinics, but now how can we work on getting patients that have mobility issues, that are housebound? How can we work on getting the vaccine for them?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Tough times still. No time to let your guard down.
True.
No, and I think it's
Alright.
important too that one of the things that the state has asked us to do is try and promote the vaccine
Mhm.
for them so that people are not so scared. So that's something that maybe we can work on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you feel that there is a need for it, because you're really out there, I think, in the community, Bridget, because of like your food inspections and stuff. You're out there talking to a lot of people in the community. So yeah, if you're feeling like that there is still a lot of confusion and a lot of what do I do? How do I attack this? Should I even get it? Is it going to do X, Y, or Z to me? if you think that there's something that we can do, or Steve, or, Trish too, if there's something that you think that we could do to help that.
I
we can
know
definitely look
personally
at that.
that the side effects in my family so far have been very mild.
Yep.
My son, he got just for a couple hours, felt kind of crummy. Woke up the next day, it was a new day. My mom, same thing. It was just, it was a down day and didn't
Yeah.
feel that well. And
Yeah.
then the next day it was over. So I don't know if that's the fear, that they feel like they're going to become deathly ill. That's just not the case from what I've heard or what I've seen. So
Most people actually, the side effects have been very manageable.
yeah.
I think that it's just, they don't know, they feel like it was too quick. It's not safe and it hasn't been tested. And, that's the misconception, is they don't fully understand that this has actually been in the works for a while, and there's a whole process for vaccines to be approved. So, once you kind of explain it to them, they do definitely feel better. But I think a part of the problem is that there's just false information specifically on social media sites. So I spent a little bit of time today just going on the CDC website and the FDA website just to see what was on there, because there are some toolkits that are available for boards of health to post that information. So I can just see if it's something we can put on the Ayer Board of Health website, just basic factual things to make people feel safer.
Yeah. And the thing that probably a lot of people don't know, because it is kind of obscure, but the humanitarian use exemption, FDA will compromise on effectiveness. So you don't have to be 100%. You don't even necessarily need to be 95. You have to show that you're significantly effective, but they won't compromise on safety. You absolutely have to prove that it's safe. So the fact that FDA has issued the humanitarian use exemptions is also something that you can hold on to, that at least a panel of people, both FDA employees and consultants that come in to advise them, have definitely ruled that every vaccine that's on the market in the US right now is safe.
That's a good point.
The only question is how effective are they?
Right.
And I'm not saying that they're not effective. It's just that's the only area that they will compromise. So anyway. Okay. Thank you. Anything else going on in the world of Neshoba or COVID or in Bridget's world that you want to talk about?
I know I did a bunch of food inspections, so those went into the envelope for Heather.
Great.
And then I did nothing
anything
major.
worrisome in the food inspections?
Nothing major.
Okay.
I think it was Subway, Junction. That's the one that was where Parthenon was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tiny's, Lazy Mary's, so everything was fine.
Okay.
And
good.
then we're going to start up the schools again for the kitchens.
Yeah.
And there was a housing on 10 East Main Street, so I just have to follow up on that.
Okay.
That other than that,
okay,
everything
like a housing complaint inspection request or whatever. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. So if we move on then to minutes, we have the minutes of February 8th that Heather sent out. But, okay, I see where you covered it. Yeah, minutes from, January 25th. Got it. Okay, I was just going to ask you, Heather, if we need to do anything with the minutes that got edited.
No, I
to
can
pick
resend
up
those out to
Steve's
you
comment.
guys to review, but I did edit those, so,
Okay, okay.
which they were
And
agreed with the edits.
we had voted on those at the last meeting,
Correct.
but then I think the edit might have come up after that. So do we have to vote just to make sure we're doing everything right? Do we
No,
have to
you're
vote
fine.
to approve those minutes again?
Nope.
No,
Okay.
Steve had, it says made a motion to approve them, right?
Yeah, and there was just the little edit thing, so. Okay, so then these minutes, is everybody okay? I was okay. With these, yeah.
Yep.
So, anybody have anything with the minutes that you see as something to change or to edit? Otherwise, we can do a vote and accept.
We can do a vote and accept, Pam, and then we'll sign these and
Yeah.
and sign and scan.
Yes. And I think, Heather, we need to sign and scan the ones from the ones we approved at the last meeting too, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll get those going around then.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody in the mood for a motion?
Go ahead, Trish.
I make a
All
motion.
right.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the February 8th, 2020 Board of Health meeting.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. I'll sign those and get them
Okay.
started going around. Oh, and the ones from the previous week.
That was the 25th?
I don't know. 'Cause
Yeah,
they're in a
minutes
different
from
folder.
January 25th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna do that too. Okay, so just to tie up administrative, Bridget gave us the story on her inspections. Anything else, any mail or bills, Heather, that we need to deal with?
Oh,
No, okay.
at the next meeting though, we should review the town report. Pam, did you get a chance to do that?
That's exactly what I was gonna say, is we need to put that on for the next meeting. So I am going to write that up. It's due in March, right? I don't
Yeah, I
remember
believe
the
it's the
date.
19th that it's due at sometime in that week, so.
Okay, all right.
So we'd have to
if
do it the next meeting.
Okay, so I'll get them to you then to just send out as part of the information for the next meeting. And then we can just kind of do a quick review, edit, and hopefully get those sent off for a town report in time. Steve, I don't know if last time you were on the board, if you did this, but this is the little blurb from everybody, every board or department that goes into the town report, just summarizing what we did last year, which I think could be a one-liner. Tried not to get COVID. It's like, that really was our big focus. Okay, so I will draft something up. Is that it, kind of? Do we have any more?
I think that's it. We can always ask and see if Lori Nearing wants to come back.
Oh, Lori Nearing.
Yeah.
We were going to dedicate some time for that.
Yeah, we were. And if we...
That's up to you, Pam, if you want to hold that off for a little while longer.
Maybe, because I really kind of want to get this trash hauler thing settled one way or the other and not try to do too many things at once. So what I can do is just email Lori Nearing and ask her would it be okay with her if we postpone this a little bit more. It really kind of depends on how quickly things are happening with the Silent Spring grant and the study. So if that's going to be upon us before we know it, then definitely I think we should do it sooner rather than later. If that's still a ways off, then I think we could probably postpone until the April meeting, the next update from them.
Yeah, and the next meeting, we are having it early, remember, because of the FinCom meeting with the select board. So the meeting is at 4:30, and we will be hard set for that 1 hour. We will have to adjourn by 5:30 so they can get ready for that meeting.
Okay. All right. Got it.
Just want to remind you of that as well.
Yeah. Okay.
And
All right. So
Pam, when on your email, did you get something from Devon's as the next RAB meeting was?
oh yeah, the next RAB meeting. Okay. Let me see what's going on with that. I did. And I think, so Steve, are you familiar with RAB?
Nope.
Okay. Devon's Reuse Advisory Board. So this started off with Shepley's Hill, and it sort of, grew to a project unto itself. The RAB or the RAB, it's something that the Army, had to do as part of the whole reuse plan. As I said, it was heavy on Shepley's Hill at the beginning, and now that's kind of, I think we've gotten through all the rough spots. Now it's turning out to be the PFAs, PFOAs, same stuff that Lori Nearing's group is looking at. So there is a meeting, and I will forward you the email if you want to call in. I'm going to call in. It's this Thursday. And they're about once a quarter. So it's Devon's and the consultants that they work with to do the monitoring wells and testing of contaminants there's a whole bunch of different sites. It's not just Shepley's. And then most of the PFAS stuff is from the airfield. So they give us their update, and Mass DEP attends, EPA attends, and there's a pretty good cast of characters that participate. So if you have any interest in calling into that,
How long is it?
certainly you can. They're usually, in maybe an hour, hour and a half at the most. Would you say, Trish? Is that?
Yeah.
You've also participated in some, yeah. It can be interesting to just hear not just look at the report, but kind of hear the technical people talk through it and what it really means. PACE is also a participant in the RAB meetings, and they have, through a grant, I believe, Rick Doherty, who is a registered professional engineer who kind of represents PACE, really, and in a lot of ways the town of Ayer, by kind of checking up on, he'll read the reports from the engineers that work with the Army, and then he'll ask some really good questions like, well, yeah, you're not getting anything in that well because you put a well in a place that doesn't have any stuff. So he's kind of got the background to be able to go toe to toe and pick up weaknesses. So I always find that very interesting.
And the thing that I took away from that, being just an average Joe and not understanding the lingo, or they put this presentation up and it would be so over my head. It was good to hear from Lori and her crew that they would ask questions that, so the average person could understand, instead of how many parts per trillion and all these graphs that showed hot spots. And it's interesting. It's interesting.
It does get into the weeds. The presentations get deep into the weeds. So you're right. That's another reason why it's good to have someone lead you through it.
Yeah.
I'm not finding the email right now, but I will later tonight or tomorrow, and I'll forward it to both of you. I'm going to attend this one. Just so you know, Steve, we try to pick a Board of Health kind of representative to the RAB meetings. It was me for a while, then I started having class on that night, then it was Trish, she did her time in the trenches, so hey, your number might be coming up. So,
This sounds like
so by all means, call in if you want.
And it's only, it's every how many, there's only 2 or 3
It's like
a
4
year.
times a year. I think it's
Yeah,
every
it's
3
not,
months or so.
it's not, you're not gonna get like, oh man, what am I getting into?
Okay.
Right. It's not that intense. Okay.
Pam?
So then I think we
Pam?
are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you there?
Sorry, my dogs
Bridget.
are roaming around. Yeah. I just wanted to let you know too, with that said, Ayer is obviously mostly town water, but there are a few surround areas where there are wells, and there have been some people that wanted to put in an irrigation well so that they don't use town water. That I have not.
Yeah.
I have not been allowing that without doing testing for PFAS, just so that you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
That makes sense. And we might end up, think about it, Bridget, but think about whether we need to be in another moratorium situation.
So, in areas of known contamination, obviously they can't go in, but just because of the issues, there's a section in the Ayer's regulations that do allow us to add testing in, if necessary, in areas of known possible contamination. So because the PFAS situation is what it is in Ayer, I tell anybody that wants to put in a new well that they will have to test for PFAS. So I don't know.
It sounds like you're covered then, because I was thinking of moratorium in terms of like giving you the backup for the requests that you're making. But if that's already allowed under our regs, then I think we're
I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that, because if somebody does want to petition it, I'll send them to you.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. You can send anybody to us, Bridget. No problem.
Sounds good.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? If not, anybody feel like making a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.